Okay, so today I'm going to be interviewing my mentor teacher, Miss Bassett. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. She is an ELL teacher, and I'm going to interview her and ask her a few questions. So, first, what type of ELL students do you have in your classroom? Like, are they more like emergent in the language, or are they more proficient?
I have most of mine are proficient. I have one that is emergent beginner. Most of them are in the intermediate to average range.
Okay, awesome. Have you noticed any daily challenges they face in regards to learning the language?
No, not really. The one who is a beginner, sometimes we just use a lot of visuals with her and give her a lot of extra time. But for the most part, she's able to follow along with her peers and keep up with her peers. Some of them may need a little bit more time and extra time, but for the most part, they have a good understanding of everything.
Good. I'm sure I know the answer to this, but do you enjoy working with ELLs?
Yes, of course, I love it.
And why do you love it so much?
It's a great to see the growth that they have, and the if they do struggle, that at the end of the day when that light bulb comes on, it's just a great
feeling.
Yeah.
I think that's how teaching is.
Yes.
It's whenever they get it, it's so rewarding.
Yes, it is. It's fabulous.
Let's see. What do you know about the basic linguistics of the language? Like, what knowledge helps you address language-related issues in the class? Like, how would you address someone that's having issues learning the language?
I think it just, you rely a lot on what are those ESL strategies that you need to use. Some do better with visuals, some may need the gestures, some may need check for understanding or redirection or repeat or review. I think it's just individually in what each child needs that helps them be successful. But a lot of the things that you use for an ESL student are what you use for a kindergarten student and to help them be successable. So.
Right. Because basically in kindergarten you're learning English
anyway.
Yeah.
So you're learning a lot of they're all kind of on the same level with learning those sounds and learning those letters and learning how to put them together and how do those sounds work together. So a lot of hands-on manipulative visual cues.
And when you mean visual cues, what are you saying? Like what's an example of a visual?
A picture. So like a lot of times if there's directions so there's centers, they have icons for all their centers so they know where to go. So there's that visual from. In those centers we have I can statements. So not only does it say I can listen to a story, there's a visual of someone putting headphones on, looking at the book. So when we make anchor charts, I make sure I always have a picture with the anchor chart because if they can't read the words, they at least can look at the picture
and understand
to
what
support
they need to do. Okay, that makes sense. Besides the examples and methods you just described, do you have any specific approaches and methods that you use on a year-to-year basis that are really effective besides the visuals and the cues?
I think a lot of times with them, it's just a lot of front loading. If there's maybe, and again, and in kindergarten, it's a lot of the same things you'd learn for anybody using, a lot of front loading. If they don't understand the vocabulary, making sure that they understand. Again, I keep saying it, but pictures help them out a lot. Understanding a word, breaking it down, and repeat or review. Do they understand? Checking for understanding. If not, okay, what's another way we can reword it, or what's another way that we can help them understand? But it's just a lot of repeating and modeling too. Modeling how to do it, how to approach it step by step. First you do this, then you do this. Model, model, model.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see how modeling would take place for all kindergarten, regardless if they're ELL or not, because they can't read at that specific level sometimes that they need to know where to go.
Right. And that's just good teaching in general. Whether you're a kindergartner or a fifth grader, they need to be shown step by step how to do it, you know, and you can't just assume in fifth grade they know how to do something. And especially with second language learners, they need to be shown how to do it.
Yeah.
So they understand it.
They need an example.
And having things around and visuals and those examples, having examples up in your workstations and things like that, so that because on Monday if you introduce, if they
They're
don't
not
go
gonna-
until Friday, they don't remember.
They don't remember.
So
You'll have tons of questions by Friday.
Right.
So I'm going to take a kind of turn to the questions that I have been asking. This one's going to have to do with No Child Left Behind.
Okay.
Not necessarily so much it in general, but the testing side of it. So how has high stake testing been for your class, for your ELL learners? Is it beneficial or is it more harmful for them?
I think it depends. I know a lot of time that I think it puts a lot more anxiety on them and stress on them because it is an English test, and so if they're not proficient, it is harder. But you do the best you can and give them the best strategies you can and hope that they can, at the end of the day, that they can do their best.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think though with ESL students or with those, sometimes it does. I can see a little bit more anxiety in them when it comes to taking those tests because it is.
And it's already scary.
Yeah, it's already scary. And then on top of that, if you're not proficient in reading English or anything like that, it can be a little bit more challenging. So I see with them sometimes it's a little bit more anxiety and stress. So
Okay.
but
And I know you used to teach 5th grade.
Yes,
Was it a lot different? Like, did the 5th graders have more anxiety? Like, did you have a lot of ELL students when you were teaching 5th grade that had kind of a beneficial effect from it or more of a harmful?
It depended. I had some that if they had a good grasp of the language, they felt pretty comfortable in it.
Okay.
But again, if they didn't, if they were maybe struggling or if they were beginning or if they were, then it was a little bit more stressful.
Right.
But I think that goes with too, their reading ability and different things like that. So those all kind of coincide. If they struggle in reading or they're struggling with the language, they're going to struggle with the test and they're going to struggle with, because it is a lot of the vocabulary, and if they don't have an understanding of it, then they do feel a little bit more anxious and they have a little bit more anxiety with it and may struggle a little bit more with it. But if
Right.
they're comfortable with the language
Then
and they're
it's not
comfortable
that.
with their reading level, then it's not such a big deal. But
Okay.
like you said, at any level on any kid, it's a stressful
Yeah,
test.
it's a stressful thing. Let's see. Oh, this one's a good one. How is English and their native language used in the classroom? Is their native language used at all at the very beginning, let's say?
No, not. I mean, for the little words that I use, I try to use them sometimes. But for the most part, in the ESL classroom, it's all English all
Okay.
day long. So, of course, if they're in a bilingual class, it depends.
It's different.
There's some certain number of hours that they have to teach in English,
Okay.
and that just goes up as you go higher in the grades. So in kindergarten, there's so many hours that you have like 30 minutes of English, and then first grade maybe, and it just builds on as you go up till when you get higher in the grades, you're teaching in English almost all day long. But in the
Okay.
ESL class, they're learning just in
English.
So, but I try to, if I know words, or I'll try to use them when I can.
And it probably makes them feel comfortable too
Right.
that you know it.
Yeah, my little Spanish that I know.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have any specific difficulties in teaching students any oral, reading, or written skills? Like, have you noticed anything like that occurs almost every time when you're teaching them oral, written, or reading skills?
I think maybe if I've noticed anything that they may struggle with, I think sometimes just putting those sounds together, because the English language is hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of those sounds and patterns don't make sense. And so, where you're trying to sound out a word or you're trying to do something like that, you can't necessarily do that in English. So, just getting past that barrier sometimes and teaching them how to use, pictures and beginning sounds and things like that.
And
So-
prior knowledge from their other language.
Right, exactly. So, if there is a struggle, and again, it's just what you see with all of them, it's just putting those sounds together to make words. That may be the biggest difficulty, but you teach them the strategies and they end up doing fine and they understand. So,
Okay. What advice do you have for future teachers of ELLs?
model,
Modeling?
visual, hands-on, and just give them the best strategies that you can give them and to help them and encourage them to do the best they can.
That's good. That's good. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
And we're going to wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye. Excellent.